So if you're wondering why we're sitting here, it's because we got too lazy to move our couch. That's why our videos are against this white wall here.
Just for a few weeks.
just for a few weeks.
You love me like yeah. You love me like no. You love me like oh, oh, oh. You love me like yeah. You love me like no.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. It's
Drake
and Bree, and you're watching Worth the Wait.
Our topic for today is why my relationships don't seem to work. It's more than just chemistry. It's more than just chemistry. People be like, oh, me and that person, we just got chemistry. It's more than just that.
We vibe.
We vibe. So the first thing is 1 + 1 ain't the relationship formula for success. So I hear a lot of people, or we hear a lot of people all the time that say, oh, like I'm attracted to them. It's like the conversation is so great. And it's like, it's deeper than that. It's not that simple. That when it comes to building a relationship or trying to find out and get to know things about a person, I feel like you need to focus on the foundational things. So even though somebody may look good, have great conversation, seem like they have a great job, the first thing that you should probably look at is maybe what is the person's ability to trust like? Because that's a foundational piece of a relationship. That a relationship won't work without trust, or won't work properly without trust. So instead of looking at, oh, like look at the job, or look at the conversation, or look how fine that man or woman is, look at, all right, how is their ability to trust? Because you can have somebody who looks very good, who has a great job, who has great conversation and stimulates you mentally, but has major trust issues. And how is that going to work? They have all these other things, but for a relationship to really stick, for a relationship to really work long term, especially if you're saying you're looking for somebody you want to marry, spend the rest of your life with, that the foundational things need to be in place. Find out their ability to communicate. Like, how do they communicate? Because that's another foundational thing in a relationship. It's like, how well can somebody communicate? Because as we talked in our previous video about why the truth is not as important as you think, it's all about how you communicate those truths. So focus on those foundational things, and before you start focusing on the simple things, because those simple things, I guarantee you, you'll find probably in 1 out of 5 people who you find attractive and have good conversation with. It's not hard to find that. Like, as much as you think, oh, this person is just great conversation, oh, that's very common to find that.
Yeah.
The things that you need to find is, somebody who's trusting. Like, those need to be the things that you're looking for your relationship to work beyond the surface.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like women, once you get to a certain age, if you're still single, then you honestly start looking for the right qualities, because you're realizing like time's ticking and you're more willing to date someone or get to know someone who doesn't necessarily look how you want them to look on the outside, and then come to find out you actually love them because they're like great people. So like, I just wish people would date more intentionally when it comes to like who the person is, not what the person is, if that makes sense.
Yes, or what they do. Yeah.
And I've dated some funny looking people in the past, okay? But I loved them. So it was, about what they bring to the table as a person, not how they look, what they had, but just like their personality, how they treated me, how they made me feel. And some people from outside looking in would be like, what? Why are you with such and such? I don't know, you don't know them, So yeah, take the time to get to know the things that matter in a person.
And honestly, if you find somebody who's trusting, communicates well, like those other things, like, not saying attractiveness, being attracted to the person is not important, because we're not saying that, but like, say for instance, Brie and I, we like different things. We're a very opposite couple. Like, we're very different in things that we like and how we communicate in certain things. But like, say for instance, if I'm talking about politics, which I enjoy reading about, or looking at the news, or looking up things about who knows what, that Brie will call like geeky at times. Because she loves me, she'll sit there and talk to me about it. She'll like ask me questions about it.
Be confused about it.
Yeah, be confused. You know, because at the end of the day, we can create conversation because she loves me and she knows I love it. So then we can talk about whatever. So I'm, you know, even though we don't like the same topics, I feel like some people would, you know, talk to somebody and be like, oh, they're not interested in the same thing I'm interested in, or they don't really talk about the same things that I talk about, or we're just not whatever. But I've had people that we liked more the same topics more, but they wouldn't have been a good person for me to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people that I felt were attractive and had a great conversation with, but what me and Bree have, that wouldn't have been able to happen with that person.
You better say it.
You special, girl. So second, we want to know why your relationship ain't working. Is you need to make your list with a pen and a pencil. What does that mean, Bree?
Ooh,
You know what
I
that
feel like
means?
you're gonna tell him.
Is that when you we did a video on this a while back, I think it was last year, about lists
Yeah.
and about like how you have movables or like your solid things, and then you have things that you need to be flexible on. And I feel like this is one of the biggest reasons why people's relationships don't work, is that they have some crazy like unmovable things. It's like, dang, you gotta be 6'7", chocolate, nice smile, make $150,000 a year, have his own house,
kids.
car, no kids, and gotta be over 30. It's like, goodness, like, no wonder you're still single.
Yeah.
It's important that you have to have your foundational things. So whether that's, all right, this person needs to have a relationship with God, or I need somebody who, you know, somebody who will trust me and doesn't have trust issues. Because that's a big thing. I know it was for me, that I can't be with somebody who doesn't trust me and I can't trust them. There may be other things that you prefer. Maybe there's, and I'm not saying one thing is wrong or right, but maybe there's a certain ethnicity, or maybe there's, who knows what it is. But there also has to be some things that are in pencil that you realize, like, okay, this would be cool, you know, if I had, for instance, going back to Bree and I, it's like if Bree was interested in politics, yeah, that would be like dope, because we would watch stuff together, but I'm not going to not marry her because she don't like politics. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like there's things like that people have in relationships that they just sit there and be like, oh, I can't date that person, I can't talk to that person. And it's like, really? Because of that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You agree with that? You got anything to add?
Back to what I said, I feel like, especially for women, we learn that too late. And I have so many older women, older than me, that reach out via DMs, and it's like, I give this advice every time. Like, expand what you're looking for. Like, if you really want to find a good person for you, that list that you have needs to kind of go out of the window with certain things. There's things that, yes, you don't bend on. Like, if you want a Christian man, then find you a Christian man, but that doesn't mean he has to make a certain amount of money, or he has to not have kids, or, you know, whatever. It's a bunch of things that, like, it's kind of like you're mixing up all these things and stirring it up and like waiting for like this magical person to appear from the things that you want, and it just doesn't work like that. It's like, it's not magic. So it's like, I always say, just like open your mind to the people that you're dating. Give people who you normally wouldn't give a chance if the things are not foundational, that they don't have like morals and values and things. But I mean, you know, it's like, especially with like dating in your race, like certain women who like won't date outside of black men. It's like, well, there's a lot of other men out here, but if you're set on dating a black man, then like your chances are a lot slimmer. So it's like, just be open-minded to get to know the person on the inside. So that's really
Yeah, I can attest honestly to my relationship in college. Like, I was dating a young lady. She was an amazing girl, great girl. We had our issues, but what relationships don't? The issue for me is that I had an expectation, and I had already built this perfect girlfriend in my head of how she was going to act, what she was going to be able to do, like all this stuff. And I was attracted to, of course, my ex, and we, you know, always hung out, had a great time and stuff like that. But I had this expectation for her that, like, oh, like, you know, say for instance, like, oh yeah, she got to clean. Mind you, I'm like 19
Rude.
and 20. I'm 19 or like 20, and she's like a year younger than me. So either she's 18, I'm 19, or I was 20, she was 19. And it's like, I'm like, oh, my wife, she got to cook, she got to be able to do this, she got to be able to do that. And there were certain things that she didn't know how to do, not because of a lack of wanting to learn, it's just she wasn't exposed to it. But then I started to become disappointed, feel like she wasn't meeting the standard of what a girlfriend should be, all because I had this expectation of what I thought this person should be like.
Well, I have a question. Did you communicate that to her?
I told her that after the fact of, I told her in my apology to her after I broke up with her as to me spending time talking to my stepfather about why I broke up with her, and he made me realize some things, and then I felt horrible because I didn't realize that, I didn't even realize what I was doing at the time, but I did communicate that to her, but after, and I told her that, you know, like I just had these expectations on her that she was losing from the beginning.
Gotcha.
And we need to be careful of that, because we all, especially if you were like me when I was younger, I was never like really the player type. I always thought like the amazing thing in life was just to have a family and have a wife, like, and I always wanted that. So she was my first real girlfriend in college because I was just like, I don't want to make somebody that unless I think that I can go long term with them. So it's like she was fighting against years and years of me thinking what I thought this person was going to be like. It's kind of like, I'll call it a fairy tale syndrome. Don't have that fairy tale syndrome to where you think that things are just going to be a fairy tale and that's it. Because as they say in the stories and the fairy tales, that the happily ever after is when it starts. Once the prince and the princess get together, that's just the beginning of the relationship. That's when everything starts. In the story, it says the end. But in real life, that's where everything begins.
That's funny. I never thought of that.
So lastly, and this is a big one. It's going to be hard for some people. If it ain't ever you, it's you. I'm sorry. And I'm going to explain. That we get a lot of people, or we hear a lot of people, that every time... No. Oh. That every time somebody, because we're talking about why relationships don't work, that people think, they say like, oh, it's this person did this, or this person, or men ain't this, or this ain't this, and never any time throughout their whole time of trying to get in relationships and looking for whoever, that they ever say, oh, maybe there's some things that I need to work on. Or maybe I should do better at doing this, or maybe I need to grow a closer relationship with God, or maybe I need to work on my anger, or maybe I need to work on the way I communicate, or, you know, maybe I need to, you know, be more trusting, or like, if you don't ever look, if things aren't working out for you in relationships and you fail or refuse to evaluate yourself, then you are possibly the problem as to why your relationships don't work. Because I know we've met some people and we'd be like, some people we know, we'll look at them and be like, oh man, like they seem like perfect. Like, why are they not like in the relationship? Like, we do not understand. And then once we got to know, we was like, oh,
that's why.
Okay. It's some things in there, but they seem on the outside to be like the perfect whatever. But then also it's like, if you ask them, it's just, oh, I ain't found the right one, or this person is like this, or these people are like this.
Picky.
Or I'm picky. I'm picky. It's like, no, possibly there's some things that you need to work on yourself. And I feel like somebody just needs to hear that, because it happens all the time, don't it?
Yeah.
Where people are just like, they like, I've been single for 10 years. Like, I've been single 15 years. And
it's also, this kind of relates to, a lot of people will say like, oh, like you're just lucky, and like, you know, Dre's like one, which you are one of the kinds I love. But it's like a thing of like, what we have is fairy tale, and like you can't possibly find this. And it's like, no, it took like two people realizing that like they weren't perfect, and like they wanted to be their best self, and they took the time to really dive into like who we are as individuals to be able to even find the right person for us. And after that work was put in, then it's like we were able to actually make it work. Because if Dre and I, if you haven't watched our like how we met video, watch it, because when we first met, we were not gonna work like at all. Never. It wasn't even a inkling of a thought that like I would actually be with this guy. I was like, oh, back to my normal life. Like DC was fun. So it took a year of like self-reflection and me being like, well, what am I doing wrong in my relationships? Because they're ending for a reason. And yes, it can be that the other person is not right for you, but there's always something to learn about yourself in a relationship. And there's always things that you can do better. And if I didn't really analyze my relationships and see where I failed, I wouldn't have been able to be in a place where Dre would even take me seriously as someone you could be with. So it's important to sit down and give yourself a moment. You don't have to go on a date every weekend. You don't have to have someone texting your phone every day or every week. Like, enjoy your alone time, be single, and really be like, what is going on? Like, what's happening here? And once you take that time and that space and you don't give your time and energy to just anybody, then you're able to actually filter out people that make sense for you to date. And then you're in a better place to communicate and to be open and to be who you really are and find somebody that makes sense for you versus whatever the hell. Heck. We out here doing. So.
No, that's a good point. I mean, if you take when we first met, say we did try to make it work, then we probably would have looked in and be like, that relationship didn't work, that person is this. We probably would have been talking about each other like, yeah, that person is this, that person is that. But it's like when we stepped away, and we didn't purposely step away, but that time that we took to really focus on ourselves, both of us came into our relationship that we are in now, waiting to have sex or choosing to wait to have sex. Like, getting to that point is that the only way we got there was by working on ourselves and understanding that there were some issues within ourselves. And continually, even as you get in a relationship, it will continue to be a work in progress. You'll continue to work on yourself and become a better person. But if you look at your relationships and you look and say, like, what could I do to better this situation, instead of looking at the other person as far as what they're doing wrong, then I feel like your relationships will be more successful.
Yeah, you'll be shocked at how you start to maneuver. Oops, that was probably meant to.
How you maneuver.
But how you start to maneuver in your relationships and like just the mindset behind it all. It's like once you are like in a place where you really are secure in who you are and like how you are in relationships, then it makes it easier to be in one that's healthy or walk away from one that's not. But,
For sure.
So get to know yourself, man.
So, thank you for watching this video.
Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at It's J Smith, Brianna Conte, and Britt B. Wade. And I think we're done.
Peace.
Out of here.